Oh, I can't wait to get in this one, Gibby.
It's going to be a good one. And the big thing about this game is both these sides have had their wobbles on the way here as well. 10-star in that game against Unlimited, only for Jegs popping off. Managed to get here, and as you pointed out, Jay Lings really ran Mkers the whole way in that fixture as well. But I think over the basis of play through the group stages and the way things have been, this is the matchup that I think a lot of people had expected to see in the upper bracket final.
These are two teams with massive form right now coming in. I mean, 10-star, they've won every single competition they have touched. If 10-star has entered it, they have won it. I mean, we talk about the MPL finals where YZN was able to have a massive performance. They beat Heroic. They went and beat Heroic, and they had a map disadvantage in a best-of-5 final. They wouldn't beat Heroic. No, this is not a team to sleep on, nor are Mkers. Mkers have looked so scary through this season so far, but for a few of those hiccups, as you mentioned, our bands coming out, Nock, Kaid, Thatcher, no real surprise there arriving. And now will it be an Azami next to go, you reckon?
Azami or Valk, one of the two, especially on Skyscraper. There's a lot of very good places you can get cams on Skyscraper that can provide lots of intel, especially with the way these maps are attacked. Mkers are having a little bit of a think about it. You know, it's a tough decision to make. Which of these really powerful operators do you want to pass through? And they're going to ban Azami, which does mean Valk will be in play. And as I pointed out already, but that can feed so much information now to the defensive side.
I mean, we talked a little bit how we've seen a lot of IQ getting played so far this season in Challenger League, and you might see that being brought out. In this case, that might force 10-star's pick. And we made a joke yesterday that Zenoxo loves to tempt us with the idea of him picking Glass. He won't. He will swap away. Guarantee he will. But from this lineup that I'm seeing with Yosta getting played and there's going to be a karaoke tea room, this will be a pretty standard attacking measure. You're going to put one person on that karaoke window, and then you're going to slowly walk your Osa in from that balcony and gain that pressure and control with those talent shields.
Yeah, so basically what they're going to try to do is use that defensive rotate by the stairs to get into the site. So they'll place one Osa shield when they push in through that black door, and then they'll get a little bit of reinforcements. They'll pick out the second Osa shield and they'll plant that down, and you just really stage your way into the site. And that's pretty much, we've seen 10-star do it before in MPL. They're pretty much probably going to try the exact same thing.
Slowly but surely they'll get that control. Interesting note there that we just saw from our observer, or we've rebranded our watcher.
The watcher,
Trico.
yeah.
He's spotted that Geisho single wall's not yet been reinforced, and it will eventually get done now. No, actually, just a mute jammer on it. Okay, rightio. So, they're going to play an aggressive hold in Geisha with that balcony now open and exposed, or they're going to go for a little bit of a spawn peek here. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. So they've opened up that angle with that Bailiff, and it will be down the Gemini who'll try and vault on out, but they decide better of it. They're going to patch it up now, put a mute jammer, and hold Geisha as you would normally expect. And as we would imagine, Zenoxo is now going up to that karaoke window, put pressure on there directly. There is one C4 player down below, and that might force it clear from 10-star once they identify that problem.
Yeah, and with the mute jammer as well, the whole plan. Oh, they've reinforced that rotates, so that's something a little bit different. But already Sledge is on the window by the bottom of those stairs. Jeg's probably the most dangerous player in CL alongside Lolo now, and they'll be looking to make their impact on the game. One player holding Geisha is what you normally expect to see. That'll be Alibi, looking to make it very difficult to push in towards the site. And one thing you're noticing straight away, they've left the case on the ground 10-star because they don't want to risk losing an early pick and dropping that diffuser and getting that information passed on.
They'll just juggle it. They'll pass it on to someone when they need it. A lot of teams do this at this level. You don't want to send the case in your win condition in a little bit recklessly. So this rappel is getting watched for the time being. YZN was trying to toy with that idea, but the decision from Mkers to reinforce black stairs, that is absolutely brilliant, because this entire Osa strategy relies on that pressure. Now I think they've detected that there's going to be a C4 threat down below, and they now need to try and clear it, and they're going to have this mutant in a pretty nasty position. They know he's there, they've pushed him deep into delivery, and they have a player waiting to grab that cutoff. But as Demo talked on the desk, it's not an easy job to try and find these cutoffs, but the opening pick goes for Jegs, and to no surprise it will be Jegs who finds it on the Dora.
Yeah, they corralled Dora it exactly where they wanted to do. They had a three-way cross on that position early on, and it gives them the advantage. Now, this is where 10-star come to life. We call them trade star all the time in MPL, because once you give them the numerical advantage, it's very difficult to beat them.
That's beautiful.
Azure drops an 8 right at the feet of a key, so that's another member down, making it a 5 versus 3. So for 10-star, that opens up a world of opportunities. They can play as aggressive as they like now with it, because you have two-man advantage. It's going to take something magical from Mkers to turn this around.
This is a really, really reserved and structured version of M-Star?
M-Star, yeah.
10-star coming out.
Great side.
The way they're playing, look how patiently they are. They're not rushing in. They're taking every single step, every precaution. They're not skipping a single box on that checklist. They have the pressure now on the player inside of Geisha. This is going to be a nasty angle of fight, and he will win it. However, YZN does fall. The summons have been used. You've only realistically lost a weapon in this moment. 30 seconds remain in this round, and Tenstar, while they've done a good job getting them to this point, they haven't really put the steps in place to make this execution work. You got an Osa on that window in Karaoke, but you've got no one in sight directly. You're knocking on the door, but you need to get yourself, in and get the case down. And every single second that, lingers and wastes, that Yoka is going to get even more powerful. Hazard gets one now on the Gemini. That guy will pop and burn, and Lolo's going to get forced to swing wide. The smoke canister, though, helps with a little bit of cover, but Jegs shuts him down, leaving it all down the sorry. 8 seconds. Yoka Jordan in hand. Surely not. Surely not. Yonka, 000 is dawning. You need to find this, and the smoke might work, but no, he's lost in days, and Zanoxo shuts him down. Tenstar, and a very patient delivery. Get the opening round here on Sky.
Yeah, isolating that identifying 1v1s was exactly how they played that one. Plan A went out the window the minute they realised that wall had been reinforced. You couldn't just use those Osas to get your way into sight, so they went the other way around. They decided to use their weapons, get the picks, and win round one. Mkers, a couple of things that I noticed in that defence whip, everyone was very isolated. Every single Mkers player was in a position where they had their job, and if they needed help, there was nobody really close enough by to provide support. And we saw that.
Didn't use the buddy system, that trade game, and it's a very important thing now. A lot of people, a lot of great minds in Siege, refer to this map as potentially going to be swinging attacker favourite, right? This has a lot of opportunity now. It's difficult to find cutoffs, but Tenstar managed to do that on a map that's not easy. We saw, I believe it was YZN, holding a pixel angle through like a balcony beam outside on rappel upstairs towards split. Like, that is a massive cutoff. I've never seen that one used before. But again, Tenstar, they went to this map for a very particular reason. They've seen what Mkers have done here before. They've rehearsed, they've prepped, and that was a very good indication of how well structured they are. And I'm intrigued to see how the rest of this plays out now.
It's going to be a real game versus game match, isn't it? Because Mkers are so good as well, and you just feel like Lolo didn't quite have an impact in that round, but you just have to give him a sniff of a chance. And playing Alibi and what really is Alibi's last stand as this really deadly operator that she is right now will no doubt have an impact at some point over the course of tonight. So, a couple of things that Mkers are doing a little bit different this time around. You're going to reinforce a couple of those doors, which is something that's come into fashion a little bit again. In the past, people give out for reinforcing doors that aren't on site or near site, but now you just do it for intel. And Bandit tricking.
Yeah, so he's going to get that trick off. That's one exothermic now removed. A good nade sent up to try and get it, but they weren't aware that the Bandit was at least in close proximity. They didn't send a drone up there, because he would have known, right, it's a Bandit wire, we can just nade that. They weren't ready for that trick. So that's a kind of a big gain of utility. Tenstar have lost one nade, they've lost one exothermic, and considering that you really want to get that double wall on the site directly open and have that single wall for pressure, a big blow early for Tenstar. Now they do have the Selma charges to work with as well. A second nade sent from down below, that will give them that main wall now open. And the opening pick though for Lolo finds Jegs. An interesting battle, keep your eye on as this series continues.
Yeah, Lolo getting the opener inside this round, and we were just wondering when he would begin to have an impact in this game. So round one, nothing. Round two, Lolo gets off the mark. 1 minute and 30 seconds or so left to go inside of this one, as Tenstar will now look to try find that pick back the other way, and this will be as free as Dora's ever going to get a kill as Azar pops in the window. And now we're in a 5 versus 3. Really good bounce back in this round from our Italian side. But with 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go, and the fact that you've still got players like Yonka, Zanoxo and YZN on the board for Tenstar, Mkers cannot rest easy just yet.
Let's look at utility right now.
Yep.
Tenstar have got 2 nades to work with, they've got flashbangs and smokes. They can try and make an execution work, and if they get some good information with the 5 drones they have remaining, they can try and get an up nade. A vault in by YZN has to take this fight into the bathroom and has that perfect information call. Darts himself back out as well before the trade happens from above. Zanoxo waiting for anyone to try and get aggressive on that staircase, but Mkers, they don't need to make a move right now. They can wait. The time will do a lot of work for them, so they need to be patient. They need to glue themselves to their position and hold their trades. 45 seconds. The earnest is now on Tenstar. What can you do with this time?
Yeah, but you look at the utility, 2 smokes, 2 flashes. That's what they have in the back pocket. Really, it's not the utility that you want whenever the numbers are against you. You've still not got that single wall open, which means you're being forced now to either go through that breach that's been opened by the Selma or hop in that window that has the barbed wire there to provide all the information to Gemini, who's just on top of the balcony. Zanoxo gets himself into a bit of a fight with Sorry, but unable to survive that one. That'll be Akui, but Zanoxo and YZM will get a kill each to bring us back into 2v2. Gemini gets one, Sorry gets the other, and Mkers tie the sides at 1 apiece.
That was a good round from them. I mean, 10-star, they got caught out. That's that extra thermic not going off, removes that kind of availability of pressure. They cannot push, they cannot use that two-prong approach. They couldn't get control down below, they didn't have solid information on the player in Map1 when he vaulted in, he lost those soft picks. They nearly caught it back, they nearly got that recovery, but a little bit too much to ask for them. Good round for Mkers, gets us all level 1 on a piece.
Yeah, and it was the picks that they got. Getting rid of those nades so early on a site like this where you can play the reverse verticality from below. Really important picks for Mkers again. And you look at the positions they put their players in. Those defenders, they were playing aggressive positions below to defend that whole style of play, and it enabled Bandit to trick that single wall as well.
Yeah, I mean, the nade's going to go in free from that window, right? You can deny that that's not going to happen, but the fact that you're aware that 10-star would see that, they use a nade, is a good utility trade from Mkers in that situation. And they kind of won that slowly. It was a bit of a war of attrition type of round from them, and they got the job done. So we'll move on to another site now by Mkers, and I've got a feeling, right? So 10-star looked very well rehearsed on this site, on Karaoke Tea Room. How will Mkers now adapt to that, and what changes will they do? Will this get reinforced, or will this be a rotate once again, and it will be reinforced? So again, moving away from that more traditional setup that we're so used to seeing, and that kind of acts in counterplay to the idea or the threat that 10-star opposed with bringing the Osta. Now, of course, they've not brought the Osta this time around. They went for a little bit more aggressive, and the addition of Flores means that utility clear is going to be a lot easier, and that shield and drum is going to be an example of when we're going to see those Rotara drones used.
Yeah, it's really good for clearing that utility as far as, and you get so much more intel as well. It's an extra couple of drones in the back pocket, although they're single use. You know, you don't get to use them multiple times.
Hello.
Lolo, goodbye. That is another opener on the side of 10-star, and that's a big pick early on too.
That's a Death Slammer moment right there.
But Wamai, he's one of the operators who gets more powerful as the round goes on.
That is, you feel from a little bit there. He was trying to get a little bit cheeky on that balcony window, and gets caught out by Azur. Finds that pre-fire through the window, gets that pick, and 10-star, well, they will be taking that one. Early advantage in this round. Lolo, dangerous gun, key utility, now already gone and lost. And 10-star, they'll take their time now. They don't need to rush into this. They've got them early, that early pick. They don't need to rush into it, so now they'll see what they have to deal with, clear what utility is necessary, and move towards that key position. Mozzie down below could be that threat. Of course, one C4 operator down below might encourage 10-star to go for that full map clear.
Yeah, and with the way 10-star attack too, one C4 from below could get you a double, if even a triple kill, because sometimes they do bunch really close together, aggressively hunting those trades. So, Mkers, they're a very experienced side. Gemini, no doubt, will be talking to the team and just saying, look, we're a man down, but there's a minute and 30 to go. We can easily find a pick to level the sides. And now getting in behind the lines will be the Mozzie. C4 in the back pocket again, but there is the shield removed from play. So with a minute and 20 seconds to go, where is that next engagement coming? Because smoke canisters are being used now as well to just delay the push.
Just choking out slowly and surely. That shield inside of Geisha is going to be very critical now as well, because he can lock down. This gives him a lot of extra cover to work with, and this key area of control could be huge. Sub 1 minute now for 10-star. So that early pick advantage. Got an angle now set up, and those shots of that suppressor nearly find Akwi. He'll back himself onto that Rotara drone now and take a lot of damage for it as well. Perfect timing, and he's going to find himself fighting an absolute war inside of Drum. That utility sent in. Flashbang's caught with a Wamai disc on that doorway, but he's going to get smoked out eventually. Toxic Cancer will fade and linger. He's on low HP, but they don't know where he is, and he might be an absolute thorn in the side. He might be able to backstab 10-star. They have no idea. Akwi, stay patient, and he gets one. The case goes cold, but he gets caught on that trade. Zenoxo gets one, Azur finds one on the Dora. Gemini gets one more. The Dregs in a second, though, Azur. 2 versus 2. 20 seconds, Mkers slow it way down. The case is cold, and Zenoxo knows he has to recover it. This fight is critical, and Sorry takes an absolute beating. Finally slain. Leaving it all down to one player, caught on main stairs, and Gemini. No C4. No chances of stopping this plant from going down. The cover should be good from 10-star. Pistol required, but Wise then will keep fighting out the war. Gemini gets in. Can't make this work. No. Zenoxo shuts it down.
2-1 10-star after 2 rounds, and that's 100% opening pick record for both of these sides as well. And it does look like Mkers are trying to make an early impact. Round 1, they were getting ready for a spawn peak. Didn't quite get it because the players didn't spawn where they wanted. Round 3, Lolo tried to do the same thing. So it looks like Mkers are trying to play the early momentum in these rounds and shift it in their favour. And 10-star so far coming out the better of those engagements.
I mean, that was a very scrappy conclusion for 10-star in that round, right? Lolo Akwi just goes, yep, I'm going to try and play a very sneaky position. Gets a reactionary shot on a player who walks up just to his left. Gets that, the case goes cold. We get a little replay of this one. Just opening that up, and the first shot that lands finds Lolo. That is You feel from a little bit in that one. You just have to feel a little bit for the entire side. But well played from all members of TenStar in those kind of hectic, chaotic moments. Head stayed on the shoulders. They got the job done, got around. Got very messy, but they got that round. 2-1 to score.
So we're moving into round 4. And TenStar have a 2-1 lead on attack. And it is playing into that attacker-favoured side that you can talk about this map having. Twice now, the side has been played. And it's not worked. So they're going to change things up. They're going to go down to kitchen and barbecue just below. And with the site, it's another similar idea. You're going to try hold that top floor, hold Geisha, and then drop back the site whenever needs may be. So if you're TenStar and you're coming at this one, it'll probably be a linear approach through the top floor and then eventually try to make your way down towards site. This is where Mkers, I think, can have a really good impact on this round, because this is the first time we're seeing them properly extend on a site, and this is where they built a lot of success.
So what they've done is they've kind of played in this western chunk of the map, so there's no real extension towards house and office exposition. That's all been left reasonably free for TenStar to claim. And they might just do that if we see Zenoxo off on that side by himself on that Jackal, so he can be a little bit self-proficient. And why does anyone open up that wall into Geisha? Zenoxo will try and toy that idea. Azur's already in, and entering the opening pick is going to be a scrappy brawl. And look at that, perfect timing, perfect trade. Akwi falls early. Early advantage once again for TenStar. Another opening pick for them. And pressure already arriving on Geisha. This extension from Mkers feeling a little bit of pressure very early in this round.
TenStar doing a great job of just moving the Mkers defenders into position to get the kills again. And you feel sorry for these Mkers players because there's no real way for them to come out of these fights winning. So now they're going to be forced to try press the issue in their side again. On defense, whenever you lose numbers, sometimes you feel like you have to play a little bit more aggressive. And Lolo playing this toaster position, just daring a player to push in through reception as we enter that halfway point in the round.
Minute 30 left to work with. TenStar early advantage once again, but they've slowed the pace way down. You know, they got that opening pick so fast, they don't take any risks. They'll drone, scout it out, slowly but surely figure out what they need to clear. A good angle set up now. This will stop any easy clear rotations on the site from Black Stairs. Capcan will find the victim of that one. Now knows he can't cross effectively. That drone will spot him out as well. He'll just wait. He'll have to bide his time. But the main kind of whole of this top floor is still in play. It's not being cleared yet. Some players might begin to drop down, but as long as you leave 1 to 2 players up here, it could be huge. And Lolo gets one on the YZN. Another fight happening just outside of Drum, but with 50 seconds left to work with, this could be a problem. Azur just walks in the site, gets one. Yonka falls to Lolo, though. 3v3, 45 seconds left, Gibby.
And the case is cold, and they know exactly where it is to Mkers. So TenStar and a bit of a hole. Lolo gets himself his 3rd kill of the round as Azur will fall to the taste of his lead. So with 35 to go, can Mkers find that extra pick to just really solidify this round for them? Or will TenStar play their way back in? Oh, Zenoxo almost hits the big shots, but now Jegs is going to go on the hunt. They have a player isolated. That will be Lolo. Lolo gets a quad, and he hunts for an ace. One member of TenStar left to go. It's Zenoxo, and Sorry gets the kill. Steals the ace away from Lolo, but Mkers won't mind as they level the sides again at 2 rounds apiece.
We've got a game on our hands, Gibby. We've got a game on our hands. 2 rounds apiece for these sides. Nothing can really get them separated by a good margin, and a very similar story. And once again, you know, early pick for TenStar. A little slow, lethargic a little bit in the mid round. They're trying to figure stuff out. Individual moment for Mkers. Lolo looked unstoppable. To every single fight that went Lolo's way, he won. So he was presented by one, and he just took it. He feasted on TenStar in that moment. Got a quad. Couldn't quite get that. Couldn't quite get the ace. And we were probably hoping he could. Just a little bit for him. For TenStar, a little bit of reset moment. You were very effective on this site last time. What can you do to change it now? One of the key moments in that round was when they couldn't get that thermite charge off on the single wall inside of front desk. Will they change it? How will they adapt around it? What will Mkers do now? And Zenoxo will not play that glass, by the way.
No, he won't. He's going to tease us with it again, but it's something that he always tends to do. Yep, he's going to 6th pick off to Ash this time around. Thermite will be brought, so they are going to take 2 hard breach with the plan again to get that single wall open and get the wall on the site open as well. And it's almost the way you want to play the site reminds me at times of how you would play on Clubhouse whenever you open up some wall, you know, that CCTV wall. Then you'll kind of flip the site. But by opening that wall, it means the defenders can't really rotate around that section of the map anymore, and you can apply pressure on the site from multiple angles.
I agree. Once you get these walls open, you give yourself a little bit of extra freedom to be able to walk around it and have an impact across the rest of the map. So the single wall gets opened up, the double wall gets opened up, and all of a sudden you can begin to put pressure. No real contention down below right now for Mkers. So the nades that are available from TenStar, they can waltz their way on in. They can use that utility pretty wisely, clear off these key areas of wall denial. and get that open. As charge used, that will clear the wall. And that will stop the bandit trick because you've opened up a better angle. And so now that wall's open. Much better done from Tensor. Very smart adaptation from them. Went into it perfectly. So that's step 1 of that checklist achieved.
Yeah, and in doing so now, their next focus will be that main breach wall. Bandit will be a little bit wary, but trying to trick this one as well, because the players from Tenstar, if they so choose, can put a bit of pressure onto the site from below. Bandit will stand on the table though and just try to listen to see where the rest of the push is coming from. But with 1 minute and 50 seconds left to go, we've reached that little quiet part in the round.
I mean, it's a common thing for a 10-star round, realistically. You know, you have the key opening structure, and then you slow it way down. This will be the kind of middle stage, gather information, begin to relay what you see to your IGL. Begin to let them figure it out, let them solve this puzzle bit by bit. And that's exactly what we're seeing them do. 10-star, 3 nades left in pocket. Mute Jammer stopping them getting solid information above them. They can't quite make these nades work down below as best they would have wanted. The yellow ping went out there. Gemini's in a little bit of a threat position. But a lot of 10-star down below. A lot of bodies, a lot of nades, a lot of opportunity. They just need a solid bit of information. Bandit propped up on that display case as well, taking no risks.
But Dora could be the thorn in the side as he begins to rotate his way towards those house stairs. Keeping an eye on the window to make sure there's nobody watching that flank. The Lycium Lolo watching that single wall again, but everything is kind of playing into the favour of Mkers. But 10-star will find the opener as Yonka will take down Gemini. And now Dora is under a lot of pressure. Jegs is going to get him too. It's a 5 versus 3, and this is exactly what 10-star are built for.
Well, with 35 seconds, man advantage. A lot of utility already burned. A second of those smoke canisters sent out and tossed. Actually, none of them left for Aqui. And an 8 prime right in the hands of Jegs. That will clear utility off that staircase. No one's there. He wishes, and Lolo will find one on the Yonka. Shuts him down. Case is not cold though. That's in the hands of IZN. 20 seconds and then Mkers. They can lock this one out. Sorry, gets one of those knocks, so this begins to get a little bit of a problem now for 10-star. You're losing bodies, losing control. Jake need to win that fight and does so. Loses a lot of his HP, vaults on in and tries to find it. 10 seconds and that's going to be Lolo. Gets himself traded now, it's all down to 1. It's all down to sorry. What can you do against 10-star? 000 is dawning and the cover's only down to 1. 1 DB and Owen, surely not. Surely not.
Yep, Mkers do it. Great play as that's able to come in clutch again, but that's a very close round, and just by going for the kill with it instead of just continuing to carry on with that plant, it puts you in a bad position.
Why did not stick? Why not stick it? Pros don't fake. Pros don't fake. Oh, I mean, that plant was, what, a fraction of a second from going down?
Yep.
Realistically, you could have still got the case down and then turned around and try and take that fight. That is a nail biter for 10-star. That is a proper down to the wire from them.
It wasn't the best cover position either to take, was it, when your player's getting that plant down? He could have been in a way better spot. And even more worrying, I think, so for 10-star and really positive from Mkers is that's 2 rounds now back to back where 10-star have got the opening pick and Mkers have shown that bounce back ability to come and win the round.
And that's a stat line that we often talk about, is that bounce back. You know, it's difficult for teams to bounce back. And I mean, we speak about it. 10-star is a team that struggles when they lose the opening pick.
Yep.
When 10-star get picked off early in rounds, they tend to have a difficult time clawing that back. They love to play from a level playing field or an advantageous one. That's where they're best. They love to trade things out. The Mkers, very good job there. I mean, that was a 5v3. A 5v3, and they didn't get panicked. They kept composure. They just won every single fight that was presented to them. They played the round ahead of them, and they've done an absolutely perfect job. Well done, Mkers, on that one. And round 6, the last of their defensive half, and already Elga's taking a little bit of damage.
That's unfortunate. It's a little bit unfortunate there, but he will continue to carry on. And on the side of Mkers, maybe they're a little bit disappointed they weren't able to take full advantage of that. It is going to be that karaoke tea room defense, though, and it's the only site the 10-star have managed to win on attack so far, and they've done it 2 very different ways. They've brought the Ossa this time again. Didn't quite pick up on whether the rotate's there, but Lolo will manage to take down Jegs as these 2 behemoths fight early on. That's a big pick right there, because that's the nades gone straight away.
So that's half of the nade utility already off the board. So Jegs was sent in realistically a little bit by himself. You know, go off, try and find an opening, try and find a little bit of chaos, a little bit of control down below. Running the Lolo. Not someone you want to meet. That nade sent in and to no avail. No information realistically behind it. Just trying to read into this, and they got an alibi close inside a bathroom as well. Walking in the supply and laundry. That might be a death trap for Tenstar. Don't do it. Don't do it, Azure. Don't do it. Don't walk in. They're waiting for you.
It's 3. There's 3 players from Mkers now down around that area of the map. You've got the alibi holding the cross. Because here's the thing. Tenstar know there's a player playing by reception. And it's Lolo. And you know they really want to take this gunfight. But Lolo doesn't even have to be aggressive. He can fall back. And as Azure potentially goes to chase the kill, he'll get taken down by the player inside a bathroom. It's a really good game or bit of bait that Mkers are putting out.
He actually unactivated that himself because he got a quicker cooldown.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to waste that utility. And why is it then? Just waiting, lurking, trying to be a rat, and nearly gets it. He'll get himself detected by that Prisma as well. An 8 primed and ready by Azure, but don't think that's going to land and connect. And no, it doesn't, because a little bit too deep. And the Selma opened up that single wall. A little bit mistimed. That was open a little bit earlier. You would have been able to find that frag. But now, sub 1 minute. An alibi still at large inside of Geisha. So Noxo will try and walk it in, but Wise then gets caught out by Gemini. And this is a problem now. Tenstar, 2 bodies down to get 1 back at least. But can they get control? They have Jonka on that window, locking it down, trying to find an opening to get on in. A smoke canister tossed in deep as well to give us some visual cover. 40 seconds, and that might be the dinner bells. That might be what they need to try and vault themselves on in. Try and get this execution rolling.
But the question is, where can they find that next pick? Because Mkers players, they're set up nicely. You've got the Echo, who can deny any last-second plants. You've got yourself Lolo, who has got those cans put down there. One of them will pop, which will delay a little bit more time, as Yonka now gets rid of some of those Echo drones. But there's Dora from below with the C4 to make it a 4 versus 2. Azure has taken an absolute beating already. Aki will toss up another C4, but nobody home this time around. But it's all down to Azure in a 1 versus 3. Aki will confirm on that one on Zanoxo. Here will come the case going down, but Aki will get another kill. And just like that, Mkers create a 4-2 lead on defense, and that's a really good opening for the Italian side.
I did just mention Tenstar struggle with bounce back.
Yep.
Just a little bit. And what do we witness? 2 bodies lost early, and no real response from the MPL champions that time around. Little bit worrisome if they can't correct that one, but it doesn't matter. Round number 7, and I often refer to this as being one of the most influential rounds in a game of Siege. This is where the tempo changes. Defense, offense, they're different games. Tenstar, this map statistically leans towards the defensive side. What can you do to shut it down? And one of the key things that Mkers are very good at is fast entries. Tenstar should know this. I imagine they will know this. And watch for how they try and fight these direct entries, because Mkers, they've found so much success being able to get Lolo and Akwi into these fast positions where they get the opening pick in the first 45 seconds. Tenstar will fight that. They'll have a lot of ideas where that's going to come from, and they'll try their best to stop that.
And here's the thing though, Tenstar will have to stop that so many times if they want to get this in, because Mkers have a 2-round advantage. As we can see, they play very well from a lead, so you get the feeling that if Mkers get the opening pick, they should be able to just transform that into a round win. Now, one thing I want to point out, it's not match point, but Mkers of any team here...
Oh, no. Don't even know.
Mkers know how ineffective Monty has been against them on this map. What can they do now with Dora playing Monty on the side? And you've got Osa there as well. That's essentially 2 aggressive shields that you have that you can use to just force your way into the map.
They'll be able to get a lot of map control for it. What they do with that map control, that's a better question. The amount of times I've seen a Monty used, now, I will say, used when it was J-Linked, 4 times in a row against Mkers. Didn't work out effectively at all, but this will be what we talk about strategy-wise. They're going to try and walk in, get control of Black Stairs, and that is the intention behind this. Dora and Gemini, that's what they'll do. They'll use these shields, use this kind of just brute force ability to gain control. And what is the answer from Tenstar's here? Like, what do they do to stop this? There's no rotate there, which is a good adjustment, but can they stop this? It's a lot of utility that they're facing down with on Black Balcony.
No C4s, nothing that you can do to get rid of this Monty apart from getting up close and personal.
You've got Jegs at 2 impacts. You can use that, the stun lock, but that's not really. I mean, that takes a little bit of extra finesse to make that one working. I mean, this is what we're talking about. The Monty now just walks in, and Tenstar, the drone just goes into karaoke, sees how free this is. Tenstar very split and separate from each other. Yonka will get the opening pick on the Akwi though. That's a very important one. And a lot of Tenstar's defense utility is extended over towards office side. They put a lot of utility, a lot of resources into holding this side. But already, Mkers knocking at the door. They can just go walk in the site and walk in trying to force karaoke very early.
What scares me is the fact that they can go and plant. If they want to, they can play this objective nice and early.
Oh my.
Lolo's going to get one. Lolo's going to get another as YZN and Azure fall, making it a 4 versus 3. Mkers, they've lost the sledge, but you've still got that shield who's just feeding so much information. And the problem is, 10-star, they know there's a Monty, and they're trying to focus on the fact that objective could be played while also watching to see where the rest of this push from Mkers is coming from. 55 seconds to go. Jegs dares with the thought of maybe taking a shot, but I'm thinking that this is looking really good for Mkers, and it really does, as Lolo is going to get a kill onto Yonka, but Dora's down. Monty is on his back.
This is winnable for 10-star right now. The Monty is now gone. That was the part of that win condition for Mkers now. But Lolo on a 3k so far will wait and be patient. 10-star, you need to not move now. Try and hold on best you can. And sorry, gets caught out by Zanoxo. This is huge. Gemini walks forward, and that's going to be Jags waiting for him. All down the Lolo. You want to clutch this round. You want a 5-2 split. Guess what? You got to go an ace. He'll try and creep his way forward, but with only 17 seconds, it might be a little bit too much to ask. He'll get one. He only has to find one more. Surely not. Surely not. It's down. All down the Jegs. And he gets it done. He gets it done. Shuts it down. Denies the ace. He gets 10-star 1 round back. The deficit only 1 now.
The battle we've wanted to see. Jegs against Lolo coming in at the very end of that one. And Lolo, 2 4Ks whip it in 7 rounds.
He's not doing bad, is he?
You know,
that's more kills than you got in ranked this season, actually.
And last combined.
No, not good for you, mate.
Yeah, it's not looking good, but look, with rank 2.0, it could be much better word for me. But I want to get back to that point though, with Lolo having a really impactful game. When we spoke to a lot of the players ahead of Challenger League about the player you want on your side, that person that you want to be the front man taking those engagements, it was Lolo or Jegs or both was the answer I got from so many players.
I agree.
And Lolo was showing us why in
that opening engagement in Dragon, right? Lolo has realistically no right to win that, right? So you got one player in Dragon, you just fought with him. You're going to get swung from the desk inside of office. Oh, I'm going to win that fight. I'm going to quickly flick towards Dragon and win that one as well. That's absolutely... I mean, that's why he's one of the best players in Challenger League. That's why he's one of the best players in Europe.
Yeah.
Right now.
He's incredible. That core of Mkers that went to SI, you cannot forget how good they all are.
No, you cannot.
And, you know, there was a little bit of talk earlier. Sorry, and Dora, they've joined the team one more recently than the other, but they've joined in and they've filled the gaps really well. These are two sides actually that have had...
Oh, hello.
This could be free.
What is it, N? What are you going to do here, mate? Is it going to work? Nah, it's not going to work. You know, good job. Didn't overstay his welcome. Retreats, stays alive, takes a little bit of damage for it, but he will fall back and he will be very happy to still be in this fight.
Happy and disappointed. He was hoping for a second that there was going to be a freebie there as well.
More happy than disappointed. I know I would rather still be in the fight than be traded off.
That's true.
No, I think he's making it ice legion, you know. Those Goomans get more impactful later on and gets more of them later on too.
Yeah, they can be a bit of a sting for the attacking side as you look to take some ground.
Gibby, no.
You love it. You love it, Whip It. 2 minutes to go. And now the first phone call is going to go off, which will pause those defenders in place while they put their phone on to silent, which is something that, you know, you think these operators, they wouldn't be taking a phone with them on an elite mission like this, would you?
Okay, so a minute 50 left to go. You've broken me already. We're only map 1.
My job.
Oh my. So, minute 45 left to work with. All players still standing. Akwi will do some working down below with that bucket. A very different attacking philosophy getting brought out. Not once a 10-star do this, not once they chew open the floor. And down below, you know, there's not a lot of windows that just cut off, but there's a lot of floors. You know, he can stop this pretty easily. Wise then takes a massive damage and loses his life to Akwi. That buck down below gets it. Zoxo finds that trade down the Dora. 4 versus 4, and Jegs looks for one more, gets it. Shuts down, sorry. Advantage now with 10-star.
And now the nade's going to be thrown in as well. And this is what I love about 10-star. You throw a nade and you actually use that to take some ground as well. Because if there was a defender there, the chances are they fall back. So you chase the nade, you take some space. There is a drone or a camera inside of Dragon, which will provide intel on that push if it comes this way. But as we enter the final minute, 10-star in a great spot. Lolo has only got 1 HP left as well. So anything like a scratch will take him down. So the turtle defense has now been activated. 1 player below looking to play the verticality. And the big thing is for 10-star, the player below up it got the C4 in the back pocket as well.
So that C4, not cleared, still in use, and if 10-star have the information to make that work, if they need it, that could be huge. 30 seconds. An aid gets caught by that ADS, and Jonka will look to get a little bit aggressive, falls back to that staircase and try and take these angles in these fights when presented to him. But he'll not get over aggressive. Tenstar will not give away anything for free in this moment. They will wait. They will be patient, but guess what? Oh, Jonka, you've got no right to win that one against Lalo.
Ooh.
But finds that pick. 15 seconds, and it's going to be a problem as Jonka gets a second now in the round, leaving it all to Nakwi and a third for Jonka. Tenstar get themselves level.
Unable to take advantage of shooting that C4 out of the air as well. It's one of those tricks that you love seeing coming out. But no, Mkers could not manage to win that round. That's the first time in this map that they've got the opener and gone on to lose as well. So it's a change from Tenstar. Usually, as we point out, they don't play very well from behind, but they were able to bounce back this time around.
Well, they got that trade pretty quickly.
They did. But it's still, they lose the opening pick.
If it goes untraded, that's the problem with Tenstar. More to the point. You can lose it, but if you get traded, Tenstar go, oh, we'll trade. Back to level. Then they can play from that 4v4.
So we're looking now at the setup again. And I'm curious to see if they change anything up. Normally, it's going to be that extension on the top floor, and that's exactly what they're going to do this time around. Looking at the attacking side from Mkers, not really making any changes, even though the opportunity is there for every player to completely change what operator they have.
I mean, why would you swap right now?
Well, this is true, but...
Yeah, I mean, look at the lineup, right, Gibby? You've got your soft destruction, you got your nades, you've got your 2 hard bridge options, and then you got an Ash, which is going to be actually playing that soft destruction entry role.
It's like a one-size-fits-all lineup, isn't it?
It's a pretty good lineup,
yeah.
I do have to say. So, I mean, not really a reason to change, and they're not going for a little pocket strategy, no Monty.
Sledge is taking the impact EMPs as well.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
Not a common one. Not a common one. At least he got the L8 though.
Yeah.
At least he's not doing the CAG classic and bring out that shotgun.
We love CAG.
Had to do it.
Yeah. You know, there's 2 teams that Whip It just cannot not mention, and it's Tenstar and CAG.
Best teams in the world.
And in the one cast for Tenstar, he's managed to bring up CAG.
Thumbs up emoji with that one. So
they're in your circle as well.
But I mean, look how good that is, right? Perfect bandit trick. Absolutely perfect. You might have EMPs on your sledge, but you know what would have done a better job than that? Nades down below.
But the thing is, if you get him below there, you're in sight.
That is true.
So Bandit realistically can play this position and trick to his heart's content, because if he's getting naded from below, something has gone disastrously wrong on
yeah,
sight.
that is true. That considering the site is below. So opening pick for Mkers. Jonka falls.
I'll put it down on the sheet. It's an opener for Mkers.
That does count, right?
It's a question mark.
No, put that down. Opening pick. We'll credit the fans for that one.
We'll give it to Gemini.
He needs it. He doesn't. Now, vaulting in Ash, that will be control of Terrace. Walk towards Strum, and Tenstar now in a little bit of a problem, right? Player down very early. Can you get that trade? Can you find a little bit of control? A lot of time burning away though. Mkers not done a lot with this control. And they still have an entire extension to clear as well.
So now for Tenstar, you have to play a little bit more aggressive, not too much more. You don't want to try press the issue too much and get yourself in a little bit of a hole. So what way do you react to losing that player? Well, YZN Bandit's still going to play above, as now the breach is going to be opened on the far side of the map. Is that the key now for those Tenstar players to start falling back, or do they continue to contest Mkers on the top floor? We're 2 minutes into the round, and there hasn't been a bullet in anger towards another player until just this moment, where Sorry takes a little bit of a beating. But I'm looking at the position of the Tenstar players. They're still in a great spot, and they're holding back this push really effectively. And now the smoke canisters are going to pop, and it's going to force Thermite into a corner by reception just under Toaster.
Not in the best position of your Thermite sat in. So, 35 seconds, and now the utility game for Tenstar. They still have a lot of time to burn, and Jegs will get that one onto Sorry. And this setup might hold fast, even with that player down early. And no one from Mkers, they haven't cleared this, they haven't done a good job of this, and YZN gets one Akwi. It's all going to fall apart now. I can already feel it, his door is next to go. And this is going to be a round for Tenstar. Mkers need something heroic, something, and it's all down to Gemini alone. He'll get one, he'll look for a second, but I don't think he'll find it. I don't think he'll find any more success with this one. 8 seconds left to go, and Tenstar take a bow. 5-4 your score.
Yeah, much better from Tenstar and how they reacted to losing Jegs so early on inside that one. So as we move into the next round, the sides, as we hit round 10, have been very well matched up so far, but Tenstar have that lead. Now, there's tactical timeout. This is where Mkers are going to have a little bit of a talk. But the thing that I would worry about now is you've given 10 Star a bit of momentum. That's 3 rounds now they've won back-to-back. And in 2 of those rounds, essentially, Mkers got the opening pick with a 10 Star player going down early.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really good bounce-back ability from 10 Star. This is the round after this tactical timeout that you would expect Mkers to level the sides again.
You reckon?
Yeah, well, it's the 3rd round. You know, it's the start of the rotation again. They've seen everything 10 Star have done already on defence, and the coach is going to have a little talk with them about what they can fix.
Okay. I mean, realistically, you should see a better Mkers now.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of a reset. They kind of slow the momentum down, try and get it all down. But the way 10 Star is playing, I mean, the way their defense is set up right there, are you getting flashbacks to the J-Lings game? Because I am. I really am. All right, in that opening game, where Mkers and J-Lings went head-to-head early, like, Mkers could not break down strong, utility-based defensive setups on this map. And guess what 10 Star have now brought out? Strong, utility-based defense setups. And there's no answer, you know? You might have the best guns, the best people who can shoot the best in the game, but you can't clear that utility, you can't get map control, you can't get execution rolling. That win condition, that case doesn't go down and you don't win rounds. And 10 Star know this. And they've played a very smart game around it.
It's a really intriguing matchup too, because as we pointed out, this is the trilogy in CL. These sides have played each other twice already.
And you got to think about this, right? No matter who wins this one, right? This could be like 4. These teams could play each other 4 times across the season.
Yeah.
That would be insane. That would be a storyline, wouldn't it?
And the loser of this best of 3 series will play the winner of Unlimited against Ascend later on tonight, which will be a really fun one to watch as well.
I mean, I asked you that earlier, and you went, the winner of this place Unlimited.
Yeah, I think, look, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that on our desk a little bit later. Let's focus on the game at hand right now, where 10 Star currently have a 5-4 lead. Mkers have just used their tactical timeout, so let's see if it has that instant buff effect, because I'd love to see that percentage up, but of how often a team wins a round after a tactical timeout.
I don't think it's as high as you want it to be. I don't
feel
think
like it should be 100.
It should be, but it's not. 100%. Nothing in Siege is 100%. Nothing.
Yeah, your cost definitely isn't.
Nor is yours, mate. Nor is yours. Right, point to one player over the course of all CL has got 100% cost.
Unfortunately, there's none.
Exactly. It's very mad. If you had 100% cost over like 2 weeks, that would be monumental.
So, but there's a round of Siege going on, right?
There is actually, believe it or not.
And Mkers have already got this breach open as well. They're getting through that list pretty quickly, and it's a real fun one, because YZN playing in this position as well, and these 10 Stars, they want to keep in that fight. They don't really have very good, they don't have that flight. You hear fight or flight. 10 Star all have the fight gene.
Azra wants to go out that window. He wants to go out that window. The likelihood is he's going to walk himself into a Claymore. There's one being deployed, so it has to be there. Jeg sends the opening pick onto Akwi. If you will note that down in this little script. And now this multi will try and walk forward, but a lot of crossfires are established. You got no easy way in. The rotate in the karaoke's not there. 10 Star are aware of what you're doing, and now you ran into a brick wall. How are you going to adapt and change? This was what the problem on this map early in the competition that Mkers had. They ran into a wall. How do you solve it? They'll hear that Ossa shield going down, and the wide peak doesn't actually clear the shield, but there's a lot of damage and forces a spread and forces a little bit of control. Mkers running out of steam a little bit here.
Yeah, but the impact didn't get rid of the Ossa shield, and that's huge in this round. Second one will be thrown. That one does hit the target, so there's another one in the back pocket. Monty's still alive and well as well, but you're putting a lot of pressure onto Jegs in this position, as there's now 3 members of Mkers making the move. Jegs tossing more utility that way, looking to prevent it from popping, but the smoke grenade will go off. Lolo is able to find one onto Zenoxo. And now you got to worry a little bit for 10 Star.
Oh, he's so tantalizing close. That multi shouldn't get this plant down. Won't do either. What a spray. What a push from Yonka. Gets himself traded, but the case is cold deep inside the side. 20 seconds, Gibby. That's just a long angle. YZN as well. They know where the case is. There's no real chance. Nosa takes an absolute beating from that DMR. Will try and crab walk all the way, but YZN finds that pick and we'll get a second one now on Ace. It's all down to one player. All down to Lolo. If you wanted someone to find a little bit of heroics, it would be him, but 10 Star, they won't peek. They won't move. They won't budge. And it will be YZN gets that final pick. And 10 Star, map point here on Sky.
Map point on their map. And at the start, it looked like Mkers were starting to get a little bit of something going on defense, but now 10 Star have won, I think that's 4 rounds back to back. They've come from 4-2 down to having a 6-4 lead. And if they go on to win this map, which is starting to look very likely, they've got a bit of a grudge to settle over what happened to them on Bank last time these two sides met.
You like that? You like that just a little bit when they go to Bank? Gonna replay. I can't wait for that one. Now, map that both teams are strong at as well, but alas, we must focus up just a little bit longer. Little bit longer. We have Skyscraper to see a conclusion to. And Tensor, the way they've been playing it, this is kind of what was the problem. Mkers could not solve this last time out on this map. And now, same problem once again. They have a plan, and that plan gets countered, and then they don't know what to do. I mean, they did not change up the core idea of what that attack was between tries. And guess what? Tensor had the exact answer both rounds in a row.
So we move into this one now, and I'm looking at the attacker lineup again. 2 hard breach, as they tend to normally do. Going to bring the sledge, probably going to bring the nades this time around instead of the impact EMPs. You've got Dokebi who can bring those for you in the back pocket. That global ability as well, and that global ability has become so powerful because not only now does it affect players that are alive in the server, if you're passed away and you're passing information through camo.
Okay, not the wisest of decisions there.
That's the thing with Jags. Sometimes he gets very confident and tries these things.
I like it when players back themselves, but not too sure about that one. Not
a match point.
I mean,
teams make funny decisions sometimes when they're on match point.
Sometimes they love to bring a Monty. Sometimes they love to bring a Monty.
You love your match point, Monty.
No, I don't. I really don't. It's a pet peeve. I don't think we'll ever pass away. Next time, charge with that off in the distance. Mkers begin to encroach a little bit of map control. Azure down below. C4 in pocket as well will be that threat. Will Mkers be inclined to clear him? Don't think they will for the time being, at least.
2 minutes to go. Yonka pushing up through Dragon, looking to find maybe that pick to bring them back into the game, but it looks like the push is going to come over from that far side. Damage traded over the other way towards YZN, who took a chunk, but Lolo's looking to press that issue now. Dora trying to do the same as that first phone call is going to come. And there's the stun rate, but it bounces the wrong way off the frame, but it doesn't matter. Gemini is going to get himself 2 as YZN and Xenoxo fall. 5 versus 2 with 1:30 to go, and Mkers really coming out of the traps quickly in this round.
Well, they need to put the pressure on the Tensor. They need to make it not such a stalemate game or round. And a lot of early picks very, very aggressively done by Mkers. They went all down the 2 players, a 10-star. And that's not going to be an easy one. Gemini will get a triple now. Yonka falls, leaving it all down the mute down below. You might have a C4, but the likelihood is that case will go down. And against 5 members of Mkers, you are not going to clutch this one out. The case goes down. Azure will get 1. I still don't believe Gibby.
No, look, they've got a cross. They have a player playing by reception.
Yeah,
you've got a Kui here. That should be the shot that gets him, but he'll take a little bit of damage, but he's pinned. They know exactly where he is. This is a round. Oh, Azure, that is absolutely disgusting on the fadeaway, but Aki is able to get the kill. And now it's 6-5. With this, we could be about to go to overtime.
Oh my.
It's on the cards.
Overtime in the very first map of a series. That's a 10-star moment, isn't it? You like that from them. 10-star love a little bit of a long matchup. They never really do. They don't do 7-0s. They rarely do. They rarely do like 7-3s. Always 7-5, always overtimes. So, round number 12, the end of regulation. Either we go on the bank right here, right now, or we've got a little bit longer left of Skyscraper.
Barbecue Kitchen's going to be the side as well. So, last time we played here, Bandit tricking had a big impact up in Scatia, so can they find a way to counter that very early? YZM will probably do the exact same thing this time around, because once again, you should not get taken down from below. So if you're Mkers and you want to clear that position, you need to take full top floor control. No, you can't see it, but Dan was doing a bit of dancing here inside the studio.
He's describing what you're saying.
Yeah.
So...
we love demo.
I've been broken, Gibby. So, this is it. Round number 12. This is either we go to the next map of Bank or we go on to overtime in this storyline. Geisha has been a key area so far, and we actually see the castle getting brought out. This time the reinforces up just a little bit stronger. How will that Bandit trick affect, or will it work out the same way as intended? A lot of extension now. Again, Mkers struggled with this upstairs clear. They struggled getting control. They struggled with getting into the building. Struggled to get around the key area. The Tensor are set up, and already looks like a little bit more of an intention of something a bit more direct from Mkers arriving.
Yeah, and 10-star are going to give them that whole eastern side of the map for free as well if they want to take it. There's no presence whatsoever, but as you pointed out, It's going to be a quick entry by the Flores, who will find this area completely vacant and take control of this map very quickly. Going to get on the drones now as well as they look to work out where these 10-star players are playing. But once again, you could draw a line down the middle of the map, but and every single 10-star player is on the other side of it.
Well, they have no need to play towards office, right? There's no part of that map that is influential to 10-star strategy. So there's the front line inside of Drum. They do not want to go any further. They don't need to go to Shrine. They don't need to go to Terrace. They just need to hold on to what they've got set up, and they have a lot of control to do so. They're also not spreading themselves too thin, which is a good decision. They've all got quick rotate routes back to site if something fast arrives from Mkers, and so far, don't really think the intention for Mkers is to go too fast.
No. They teased us a little bit at the start with the way they all spawn and move, but it's been a little bit slower from that point on.
No Bandit trick.
Now, Bandit is gone, so that wall will be open this time around, and you'd feel like maybe that's an opportunity lost, but I think it was more so a clock decision for the Bandit to just fall back at that point. You've still got a Rooney playing over in the section of the map by Drum as well, as now the entry comes in below from the sledge as well. So they're starting to get some pressure towards the site, but still not a single gunfight has been had inside of this map. Yonka spots out the drone. The castle prevents the sledge from going a little bit closer until he gets that utility at hand, but they're stacking up some players on the window, but Zenoxo gets her opener over by Drum. Shots going back the other way as the members of Mkers look for a trade. But 55 seconds to go, and Gemini finds one.
Gemini's already knocking at the gates right now. 50 seconds, back to 4 versus 4. 10-star now need to worry about these players super close to site. You got a lot of extension upstairs. Time to begin to think about calling these players back. But you got Gemini watching that flank as we'll try and creep down inside a house now and look for a way back to site. Zenoxo still holding upstairs, and he can play around this hatch to try and deny any potential plants that might go down inside of kitchen. Zenoxo finds one the Lolo. James will get one Aqui, and now it looks like it might all fall apart for Mkers. 4 versus 2, 20 seconds. And that C4 lands perfectly down the Dora. Gemini against 4. Can you save this map? Will you get one, Azza? Surely not. I don't believe he'll be able to find it with 15 seconds to work with. He'll creep and crawl his way, look to try and find what impact he can, but 10-star should be as good as done. Do not peek, do not waver, do not even decide to move. Go AFK, don't play the game, and the round is yours and the map as well. And Zenoxo will peek, get another kill to the tally. And that is 10-star, taking the very first map of this series in what was a convincing defensive split from them. But it took all the way, all 12 rounds regulation, 7-5 the score. What a result that was for 10-star.
5-1 split. 5-1 split on defense against a side like Mkers is a very impressive thing to put on the cards as they win the first map on Sky. Now, you have to remember, this is the map that 10-star decided to play for the first one, so you'd expect you to win your own map. But grudges are there to be settled. 7-1 the last time these two sides met on Bank. And that was on the side of Mkers, and they've decided to go back here again.
Well, what a way to potentially conclude this rivalry in Challenger League. Well, not really, this is a solo bracket, but Bank will be our next map, but I cannot wait to see how our analysts break down